And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the first ever video podcast, whatever you want to call it, with me, Dreadnought Ryan, and the man over here, Kit Bass Creations, Chris. And we bring to you the Island of Misfit Toy Collectors. And today we're going to talk about the best thing out there right now, Robo Skull.
Robo Skull.
Skeletron, Ben and Mark and Chris McLeod and all the other folks, Bob Breakin, of course, who had a hand in creating this amazing toy line. Not just a vehicle in a 6-inch size or a 4-inch size, or even I think like a 1/32nd, 1/64th size. This item covers everything. Chris, how does a Mattel or a Hasbro or anybody else not figure out make an item that will fit multiple scale figures?
I think they're going to ignore this because it's going to scare them a little bit. 'Cause I can't fathom how nobody figured this out before. When Ben first started, doing the teases for this, and you and I and a couple of other people would we don't know what the hell you're doing, but we want in.
Yeah.
And Ben had messaged me, and we were talking back and forth, and I was like, what scale are you going to do this in? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, multiple scales? He's like, oh, you're going to love this so much. And I was just thinking, how is he going to? But it's so simple that you just swap out the seats, and you and I talked about this before with the Sky Striker HasLab. The whole reason why I didn't get the Sky Striker HasLab was because they said there's no way that, or you're not going to be able to fit modern 3 3/4 and 4-inch figures in it. It's only going to fit the O-rings. And so I was like, well, I'm out because I'm not going into O-ring, as I'll get a divorce if I get another line, that I'm collecting. So I had to pass on that.
And with that size, the Sky Striker, because it's so detailed, and you have all those removable panels, you have the ladders, you have the weapons loadout and stuff. How do you not have that modern sized Ace figure, which actually looks more like a fighter pilot, the 30th Ace, than the original Ace, which is more of like a spacesuit.
Spaceman Spiff.
I mean, I don't get that. That's like one of those no-brainers where it's like, oh, well, the seat, we can just slide back a little bit and now it fits your 4-inch figures too.
And you don't even necessarily have to have a co-pilot in it. It's like you can't fit 2 6-inch figures in the Robo Skull. They were smart enough to be like, okay, well, you can fit 2 4-inch figures. And that was the other thing too, is even the 4-inch seat, you can fit 3 3/4-inch O-rings, because you get the O-ring from Grindstone, and that, you can use that. So it does both of those, modern and O-ring. And I would even have been willing to give up either like the ejector seat portion of it, or the even having a co-pilot. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have the co-pilot there, but I kind of think this might have been a classic case of corporate overcorrection.
Yep.
From the last corporate entity that I worked for, and I'm sure anybody that's ever worked for like a publicly traded company knows that they can't just go, okay, well, we're going to go a little bit this way. It's like, complete and utter ridiculousness. And, and that's not to, I'm not trying to slight the O-ring crowd, because I mean, that's what you and I grew up with.
Yeah.
That was what got me, but it's just, that's not what I want to do anymore. I loved the O-rings back then, but I want to do the modern figures, the more detailed, the more articulated, that sort of thing. So,
and they're more customizable. And what got me into customizing is the O-ring figures, because you could create your own figure from them. But with those modern figures, it's so many more lines that you can add into that universe. And with G.I. Joe, which that's my jam. I mean, it's everything that, I mean, it's classified for me. But when you have O-ring collectors, you have modern collectors, because that's what brought a lot of people back into the GI Joes, those modern lines, and now you went to 6-inch. You've got to find something that can at least fit the O-ring in that modern figure size, because it just makes your line more successful.
Mm-hmm.
And you also had that modern style figure at the time at Walmart, and you were selling those figures, and now you're like, okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to do O-ring through pulse only, which I can get that, because I don't think Walmart or Target really wants to go down that O-ring size scale, because they just don't see that demand for it.
Yeah, big box stores aren't going to get O-ring. They just won't. They won't be able to fathom that.
And I don't think you'll see vehicles done in big box stores any longer. The last thing I can remember was like the TIE Fighter from Star Wars Black Series, which was that just, ungodly large first order TIE Fighter, that was like 350, I think. It was expensive, and it ended up going on clearance. That's that's not how Walmart works. That's not how Target works. I'm hearing now that his tank is like $6 at some Walmarts, and people are picking them up as quick as they can. But I think the days of those vehicles at those big box retailers are going to be gone. It will be HasLab or some online retailer or Kickstarter that makes them.
What is it that they call it? Fan channel only?
Yes. Yep.
Which, I mean, I'm okay with that, because fan channel is fairly easy to get, and and I don't mind going online and buying something, and but I still do kind of miss that, because the being able to pick it up and look at the box and that sort of thing. That's what got me to buy that original Hiss that I painted to make that first hyena. Was my wife and I were in Walmart, and I was just looking around. There was nothing else there, and I'm like, and the more I looked at it, I was like, I wonder if I could do something with this. Yeah. And my wife was like, well, let's give it a shot, So we threw it. It was an impulse buy, and now I've got like 4 of them, So and if they hadn't sold out at Christmas around here and gone on clearance here, I'd probably buy more. So there's part of me that misses that, but I would buy it through a fan channel or something like that, just as long as I was able to see what we were getting.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, is to be able to see it, and that's what Ben and Mark have done a great job of, is getting that Robo Skull out in front of everybody, whether it's a convention, a con, podcast, online videos through YouTube. They've really pushed that Robo Skull out there. I mean, they sent it over to Ireland for, Patty Lennon and Brian Hickey to basically photograph for the book they're going to have with the Kickstarter. And, they're just pushing out photos on social media, on Instagram or Facebook, blowing up the flag or doing different stuff like that. So, it's gotten out there. I mean, heck, the Fuchsias even brought it up on his channel, like, hey, this is still out there, go and order it if you want. So, and speaking of that, ladies and gentlemen, that is what we're going to talk about today. And it is the Kickstarter and the backer kit that's out, and now the pre-order. And we're just going to probably go on and on about how great Ben and Mark are, because they're great dudes. Very positive. They have done something that hasn't been done in the Joe community since somebody like Gary Head, who could bring a number of different groups together to be excited about something. And they've done it through, putting Masters of the Universe figures in the Robo Skull. Mythic Legions, that's from Four Horsemen. GI Joe. GI Joe is from Hasbro, but they put Destro in the Robo Skull, and then also putting the Marauder figures in there, and then actual Action Force figures from back in the 80s. They're showing how those figures all fit in this amazing toy. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the most amazing thing, which again came out today, which just what a way to start your day in the morning. My kid had a bowling tournament, and sitting there before everything starts, and I'm just watching this video over and over again.
get the re-entry there. That it's so amazing. Yes. This is the best 26 seconds that I've had since the first time my wife and I had sex.
Tell me about it. I'm right there with you. It's one of those things where you're like, how did I not? Oh, if I can get this to work, there we go. How did I not think about doing a commercial for my toy if I'm going to be pushing out a Kickstarter? And yeah, it's successfully funded, but Ben and Mark are doing something else. They know that they have this pre-order opened up for folks who didn't get the initial backer kits or the Kickstarter. So put something out like this on social media, through YouTube, through the Full Force, and us crazies are going to sit there and share it with everybody that we possibly can, and that's exactly what happened.
And they didn't have to say a word. There's nothing on there. There's no go to this link now, because fools like us are going to take care of that. We're going to be like, look at this. And then when your buddy goes, oh, damn, what's that? Here you go.
Yeah. And guess what? It's $19.99 for a Robo Skull. Now, yes, you did miss getting some of the goodies that both I and Chris and a number of other people did get. This Kickstarter funded in 95 minutes. It had a goal of like $70,000 or something. 95 minutes this funded. And I think it was in 48 hours they had blown through every stretch goal that they had selected. And Ben and Mark had to come back with other folks to go, we need to add more stretch goals.
And we blew through all those too.
Yeah, I think of last night. It was like $741,000 and 1,667 backers. Average backers were almost at $450 spent per backer. We've heard over and over and over again that you can't do large scale videos, toys, vehicles, because people won't support it, because it costs too much. It takes too much shelf space. Ben or Mark are like, here, hold my beer. Let me show you how it's done. Blows me away still.
You just have to do quality toys that somebody wants. And the fact that they got Bob Breakin involved, since he designed the original Robo Skull, was genius. And like we talked about before with the different scales, you completely eliminate the scale fight, because there was always like, well, is this going to come in 6-inch or is this going to come in 4-inch? And then those two groups start fighting each other. Now it's like, oh yeah, it comes in 4-inch and 6-inch. And if you have the little robots from Japan, you can
the
put
die
those.
Clones.
Yeah, the die clones. You can put those on the eyes. And so you've got that scale too, and they've got all the ports. There's ports in there, kind of like the old the Pursuit of Cobra vehicles, where there were different ports where you can add different stuff, and it's the same size. It's compatible with other. What do they say? It's compatible with other lines, add-ons.
Just those items that you just described from the Rise of Cobra, Pursuit of Cobra line, the Hiss tank, those cannons, you can clip them on the Robo Skull.
And there you go. You can. There's more stuff that you could do. It's just I think that they really thought this through. They sat down and they thought it through before they pulled the trigger on it, and it's just amazing. The sheer amount of ground that they covered with just one toy.
And when you sit back and you go, why the hell? This just makes sense. Like you just said, it's not that salty tears of one scale versus the other. It's not, the douchey 6-inch collector like me going, oh, I've got a toy and you don't. We're both going, this is the most amazing toy I've ever seen. The modern or the 4-inch scale figures with the two pilots and all of the goodies that you get with it, that just, the play value alone for that just opens up so many different things. And the prisoner pod which you then can say for the 6-inch, I don't have a figure that will fit in there. Oh, guess what? We're going to give you these Skele Drones that fold up and they'll go in there instead.
The Skele Drones. Oh, and the heads come off of the Skele Drones, and you can put those on your figures.
Yes, and
if you
those
want
fit
to.
any 4-inch figure. So if you see a really cool, robot head, or how about some of those oh shoot, the Kingdom. Why can't I
Oh,
think of
the
AWOC?
Animal Warriors of the Kingdom.
Yeah, imagine you taking some of their modern 4-inch scale size figures heads and putting them on those Skele-Drones.
How about if we put a Skele-Drone head on Thane?
Oh,
Could you imagine that? Or the was it Bellatros? He's in my in the other room. I've got the cyborg arm on him. You pop that Skele-Drone head on top of there. I'm getting chills just thinking about this, bro. I didn't even think about that before. That would be so cool.
And Marauders, you look at all the stuff you can choose from there.
And I mean, look around. How many figures do just you and I have that don't have heads?
Oh,
Because we took the heads and put them someplace else. Oh man, I need something to do with this. I've got this body and I don't have a head for it. Oh well, look, there you go. Now you've been possessed by a Skele-Drone.
Or I'll go on eBay and I'll buy lots of heads because I'll go, oh, I like this one and this one, but I'll save them because I'll go, I really want to make this figure. Oh, I've got the perfect, and you can go and get what you need for it. I don't want to say it's the low hanging fruit, but it, like you said, it's almost like they went, oh, why don't we do that? What rule says we can't do that?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
You could tell they're one of us. They came from the collecting space because they thought of the things that we think of.
Yep. Yeah. And with Ben, that's exactly it. He says, I am one of you. I started collecting Robo Skull because he found it at like a Joe Con or something 7 years ago. And this crazy guy bought more because he then sent it to get chromed.
That chrome one is so wild.
And we're not talking painted. He had it vac metalized. He found like this guy says he can do it. I'm going to send him this Robo Skull, this holy grail for a lot of people to get vac metalized, and it looks amazing. And that's just Ben is just an evil genius in that way. He's fearless with saying, why can't we do it? And then he does it and you're going, dang, that's a really great idea. Why didn't I think about that? And it's like, well, because we're all silly. So, all right, we are going to talk about, and hopefully, can you see that okay, Chris?
I can.
Perfect. All right, so pre-order store is now open. So most Kickstarters, if you missed out, you're SOL, you're not going to get what you need, and you just have to deal with it. Well, Skeletron says, no, we have a backer kit that we're going to let the folks who backed our initial Kickstarter go in and get the extras, the new items that they added, but we're going to still open it up to everybody else. You're just going to have to pay for your items. You don't get any of the stretch goal items. So, if you didn't have the money at the time, completely understand. But now tax season's coming. You're getting your tax refunds, $219.99 for a Robo Skull. It's a great opportunity. The other thing is, that when this item here is delivered and you start seeing all the pictures on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, that when these go on that secondary market, they're going to be $800 easily.
Oh man, yeah. And the Kickstarter exclusive version.
Oh, the Mark II, the SC Mark II.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be insane.
And
I can't wait to see guys, like Plastic Pixels or D Amazing. Dude, I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head. Just because you and I follow several artists. Art G Dude, could you imagine what Art G could do with these, with his explosions that he makes? Oh,
Ryan Melzer, a friend of ours on Facebook, he's
mm-hmm.
I think literally they have a squadron of these. Him and Molly have a squadron. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see him do like a dreadnought colored Robo Skull. And having Zartan and the Nox having a Robo Skull.
Oh, yes.
Or even with the coloring contest they did, people were doing like a Skeletor faced Robo Skull. So it was that greenish yellow face of Skeletor painted, colored purple. It's like, damn, customizing this thing is just, it's gonna be crazy what people do with it. I was thinking because Angry Mike on just another GI Joe had been on last night, and they were talking about Transformers, and I'm sitting there going, man, what if they had a transforming Robo Skull? Or what if you had like a Sentinel figure, that giant Sentinel figure,
Mm-hmm.
where the Robo Skull could be like a headmaster from the old Transformers line, where it goes and flies on and lands on top of it.
Oh.
And it's a giant robot.
Oh, man.
So, I mean, I just think, honestly, with Skeletron, I think the sky's the limit with these guys. Ben is, again, like I said, he just seems like a dude who goes, well, why can't we do it?
Right. Why
and
not?
as we were talking, so this is the SE Mark II with the Weasel pilot. So Mark, who did a lot of the designs on the Robo Skull, I'm pointing over here when it's right in front of me. He is the actual Weasel pilot. It will be a head sculpt from him. There's a cool little feature that does come with his figure, but not only in the initial backer kit, which thank you, by the way, for. So we're texting back and forth to each other, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get one Robo Skull. It's $219. I think I can live with one. And you're like, dude, I went all in. And I'm going, you went all in? You're like, it's gonna pay for itself. And I'm sitting there going, you know what? If I go in all in too, I'm gonna get all of this stuff, and I can sell some of it or do whatever. And I'm sitting there, and the more I'm thinking about it, I'm going, I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna go all in. I'm just gonna do it. I don't do something crazy like this. And so when we initially pledged, it was $440 for everything.
I think so. Yeah, that was the first all in was like 440, and
And
dude,
they had,
there's no way that I felt like I was ripping them off.
well, and there was like, I think 500 was the quantity they had at that all in amount, which all in basically says you get one of everything that we unlock.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking they'll probably do a couple $100,000. We might get half of these. That's still a great value. And that initial, I think I was number 6 in the initial all in. You were like probably number 3 or something too.
I think I was 4.
Okay.
I think I was 4.
Those sold out in like 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Those initial all in. Then they had to come out with the next one, which I believe it was like $20 or $30 more. And then that sold out. And then it just kept going. But then they had this crazy one. It was like 5 Robo Skulls. You get one of everything. And I think they had like 50 of those. And those all sold out.
That was the elite package, wasn't it?
Yes. The fact that, and that was $1,000. That was over $1,000 for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like gone. But
and they did like 2 or 3 more of those as well.
Yes. And then people were like, well, 5's not enough. I'm going to have to go and get like 3 more at the 219 mark. And I'm going, you're going to get 13 Robo Skulls? And they're like, I'll sell half of them and I'll make money. And I'm going, you will, because all of these Kickstarters, all of them do that. Travis, our buddy Travis from Toy Kind of Mood. he got the Razor Crest and he sold it, I think, for like $900 yesterday.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
He's like, I don't collect this, but I got it. I'm just gonna sell it, and it was like 5 minutes. It's like boom, it's sold, $900. Oh, dang.
It almost makes me wish I'd bought extra.
Yeah, I thought of that too, but I think it's like one of these things. When I get this package, I'm not going to want to sell anything.
Oh no, I'm never going to let. I've got a space that I cleared off on my shelf a month ago for something that's not going to come out until next year, so that I can have both of the SE and the regular Robo Skull next to each other. There's no way I could sell these.
Chris, I bought a new cabinet, a new shelving unit just for my Robo Skulls. That top shelf is going to be Robo Skull Central, the landing pad. But it just keeps getting better. And the Mark II, the SE package, I love the yellow. At first, I didn't think I would, and at first I was kind of like, but it just adds something to it. And with the yellow highlights on the wings and everything else, it's nice to have that little different elements compared to the other Robo Skull.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it kind of makes me wish that I'd gotten a third one to have a squadron where you had two plain ones, and then the SE could be the command ship, kind of like how we did with the hyenas. I've got the two regular hyenas, and then the one that you picked up for me for Christmas. That's the command vessel. So I've got until April 30th, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to talk. Like I told you the other day, whenever I was like, yeah, I finally broke it to my wife that I had to come up with an extra $500, and that was being very, very conservative of buying some of the extra stuff that I didn't get during the Kickstarter, and the stuff that they've added since then. I think if I went to her and said I want to put another 220 on here, she'd probably chop my head off. So
I initially found out about this. I'm a Patreon member for the Full Force, and Chris had sent this out that this was coming, and I'm just going. And I think I texted you like, dude, something's coming down the pipe, and you're going to be like, holy crap. And I started saving money then. I think it was like September, October. Like I took my birthday money my family gives me, and I just started squirreling it away. Because I'm going, I don't care how much this costs. I'm going to buy it. And I was thinking, this is going to be like $400 or $500 for one. And I'm like, I don't care. I've looked for a Robo Skull for 10 years now. And I'll see it on the secondary market. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to pull the trigger. And then I don't win it. And this was just the perfect thing. And
I'd never been able to find one complete. And if it was complete, it was more than I wanted to spend. And so, yeah, I completely feel you there.
And I have to admit, seeing this compared to the Robo Skull from the 80s, and the Robo Skull from the 80s is amazing. It's an amazing toy. But seeing this, it's like, no, this is a Model T compared to a brand new Camaro. There's just, it's an amazing, amazing toy. And by the way, part of one of the Kickstarter stretch goals, a flight stand. And since you get two of them, you need to get an extra flight stand, which a lot of us did get another flight stand.
I made sure to add an extra one just in case. Well, not just in case. I made sure to add another one because I want to have the SE next to the standard.
And then having one up on that as, and having the VTOL wings turn like it's landing or taking off, it's just a no-brainer. It's an amazing item. And again, this is one of those things that Ben and Mark were like, oh, we got to add this, at the end. And Mark had to come up with the design for it. And it's a very nice looking stand. The other thing that we haven't talked about with the Robo Skull, the mouth of the Robo Skull itself opens. And you also get it's called the death of breath or something like that, and it's this blue electricity, you know, item that's added in that you can put in there, so it actually looks like it's shooting out, lightning. But then also in the mouth, there's missiles.
Yes.
The chin gun rotates, so you get those rail type guns underneath, and you got Gatling guns for eyes, and then yeah, the four corners that you see on the wings, yeah, those are missiles too, and they're going to have blast effects for those coming as well. They just haven't released those. It-
This is like the fever dream of 10-year-old GI Joe collector from back in the day, where like, it's a big flying skull and the thing looks like a TIE fighter, but it can turn like this and it can land and those shoot, and it's got Gatling guns for eyeballs, and then it opens up its mouth and it can shoot electricity, and it's got missiles, and these are the things that you would have designed, back for Cobra or Red Shadows, back in the day. It's the Cadillac of badassness.
if we would have had this at 8 or 10 years old, we would have become men because we would have experienced what it was like to become a man. I couldn't even imagine getting something like this at Christmas. I
As
mean,
soon as you touch it, you grow a full beard, and you're like,
yeah, you're grabbing your uncle's cigars, you're lighting them up like, get the hell out of my way. But my son saw this and he's like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Badass, isn't it?" And he's like, "That's a toy." I'm like, "Yeah, toy for grown-ups."
Yeah, my 10-year-old daughter, when I showed her that, she was like, "That is epic."
Oh, and yeah, it gets better because you don't like the skull? Well, hey, we've got this heavy metal armor that you can clip on to your Robo Skull.
Robo Knight. In my head canon, the Robo Knight armor is what happens to like a Robo Skull that gets captured by the good guys.
Yes. Yes. It's it's I mean, it's crazy. It looks like to me like Optimus Prime head. I
It
just want
reminded me of Master Plo Koon from Star Wars.
yes, that's another one. But I want to hear Peter Cullen talk about I am
Oh,
Skeletron.
oh, stop. Oh God, I can hear that in my head, and oh,
Until all are one.
oh
Oh,
yes. Oh man, we're gonna have to make this rated mature here pretty soon.
I know it's for 18 and older, but
Oh God.
again, this is another thing. It's like, who thinks of this crap? Who thinks, man, what if we put this armor plate on it? That they were thinking about this. These were like why can't we? This is a dream of mine. It's just absolutely amazing. And the color scheme, the paint apps, if this pops like it does in this picture, it's going to be amazing. Even if it doesn't, I'm going to chrome that mofo to make it pop like this.
Awesome.
Just because.
Didn't they say that this was one of those things that one of the guys wanted to do, and they were like, okay, well, yeah, if we get X amount of sales, then we'll put it in there. And it
Mark
happened
Mark
within
wanted
like a
to do
few
it.
hours. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mark wanted to do it, and he told him, he's like, yeah, we'll do it if we get this much in sales, and it
Yeah.
happened like within an hour or so.
Yeah, Ben's like, if we get to this, 150% funded, we'll do it. Shit, that's 4 hours in and we're already there. Mark, I guess we're doing it. You better get those renders done.
Yeah, I loved how it totally caught them off guard. Just how many of us there are out there.
It was the marketing campaign that they did. It was that guessing game of what could it be that gets your imagination going, and especially for collectors like us,
Mm-hmm.
that's a dangerous thing.
And I remember, when you turned me on to it, and then I start in on it, and Ben messaged me and he's like, "Hey man, thank you so much, for you guys getting behind this." And I was like, "Dude, I don't know what it is that you're doing, but I know I want to be part of it because everything looks so cool so far."
And I don't want to, dance over a grave, but the Rancor HasLab from
Mm,
Star Wars, me personally, I think the reason why that failed is because when it was leaked that the Rancor was going to be the HasLab item for Star Wars, what I heard people saying was it's going to come with the slave girl who was killed at the very beginning,
Ula, yeah,
and then the Rancor keeper. They're like, these have to be the stretch goals for this thing. And when your fan base says these are the items that we want to go with this is what we're envisioning in our mind. And it made sense because that's going to be the only place you're going to get either one of those figures. They're not going to come in a wave.
right.
And then you don't have those until 2 days before the end, where you're like, oh, we're going to give you the Rancor Keeper. We're just going to throw them in a plastic bag. The fans are like, screw you. Ben and Mark teased this coming, and what they produced, to me, it was more than what I could imagine.
Yeah, this was well above my expectations for what I thought it would be.
Hey, these stupid Skele-Drones, and I say stupid because I was not excited about these things at first. I'm like, I really don't care about Skele-Drones. But seeing these pictures of these things, I'm going, damn it. These look cool as hell. How many do I get with the backer kit? Oh, I at least got to get me another package. And then the packaging comes out, and you're like, son of a gun. Look at that artwork.
So beautiful. Now you got to have at least one where you keep it in the package, or you get the X-Acto knife and you're trying really hard not to hurt it while you get the toys out, because the
These
art
are,
is so brilliant.
with as many of us that are working from home now, these are our desk items. These are going to be the little things that you're going to be playing with every single day.
Was it you or Ryan M that I was talking to about the Skele Drones and the baby, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Men from Ghostbuster
It
Afterlife?
was me. It was
Yeah,
me. Yeah. And those are the type of little items that people go, they're throwaway items. And I don't mean like you're going to throw them away, but they're just like afterthoughts until you get them in hand and you're going, damn, these are even cooler than I thought they would be. And, you know, listening to Ben describe, how they came up with this on Mike's show, I was like, that's just so smart. But they listened to the group of folks who said, let's do something like this because you're going to want to have these. This will go in for that, the pod, the prisoner pod for the 6-inch ones. You need to have something for them.
mm-hmm.
And why don't we have these little mechanical Skele-Drone spiders? And the coloring of what they're looking at, this grayish white with the red and the black. I mean, it's just like, damn, I need an extra package or two of these.
And I don't know if you remember this or not, but they never mentioned anything about the flying Skele Drones. They never mentioned that they could fly until Ben shows the art, and people are like, wait, that one's flying. They can, and he's like, yes, they fly now,
Yeah, because Mark's like, I want one that flies. And you're like, I
You
would have
just
never have
twist
thought
the
about
legs
that.
and off they go. Yeah, it never occurred to me.
And there's Skele Drones. Hello, how did we miss that? Like, honestly, and I already know what I'm going to do. I've got a couple little like control pads that I picked up from, some whatever accessory kit. I'm going to have like how Firefly for the classified line has that little control computer for his drone. I'm going to have
Mm-hmm.
something like that. I'm going to customize to make for these Skele-Drones.
Oh yes.
And then
And
death from above.
plus it makes it even creepier because most everybody is terrified of a spider in some way, but now you can't get away from it because it could just convert and fly and then land and then come after you again. It's like Terminator spiders.
And because they're in a 4-inch scale, with the 4-inch figures, they're going to look gigantic. So it's going to be even scarier for your 4-inch figures, it's going to look like they're battling, like you're saying, the mechanical robots. Whereas a 6-inch figure, they're going to look like the little demons that they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's and you can pop these Skele-Drone heads onto your 4-inch figures. I mean,
That's a whole
smart.
other army that you could have right there. So let's say that you've got the pod, the prisoner pod, since you're doing the 4-inch, and you're not carrying around the Skele Drones. You just pop the heads off, put them on, some, like, get some Marauder figures, the red and gray camouflage ones.
Oh yes,
The ones that have been in the promo pictures, pop those Skele-Drone, and you've got a whole other squad of a different character right there.
It's your Skele-Drone version of bats, basically. Yeah. It's so smart. And then they did this to us. So initially, this was on the backer kit for the Marauders Vietnam Kickstarter. And they say, "Oh, you guys like the Wolf Trooper? Well, let me introduce you to the Jungle Wolf Trooper." And I know we were back and forth. You're like, "Are you freaking kidding me? You guys got to stop doing this to me." But it's the Bloodwolf Trooper in camouflage and that green and the gray and that yellow color. It is such a great paint scheme, and it makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
This is the trooper that you drop off on a planet to do your recon, to spy on whoever it needs you need to do it, and then you bring in your Robo Skull to pick them up, drop them in your prisoner pod, and get the hell out of there.
And it makes me want to get a 4-inch scale Predator.
Yes, or a 6-inch scale Predator in the 4-inch figure would be even better because the Predator was bigger. But still, I mean,
and at this point, they could just, every 6 months they could be like, okay, here's another repaint of this. Dude, I don't care. Reuse that buck until the molds crumble into dust, and I will buy them.
yeah, absolutely. Can you imagine like a Sky Patrol, or
yes,
or heaven forbid, how about I don't know, like an eel type Wolf Trooper?
Mm-hmm. Put some fins on there instead of the battle claws.
Or
we're gonna need to send Ben an email, I think.
Yeah.
We got an idea.
Hey, John.
We'll sell it to you for a quarter.
Yeah. No, we want 3 figures. Yes, that's our trade. And I from my understanding, it's not going to be swappable heads, I believe. That's what if I remember hearing correctly, those are helmets that will go over the face, the I can't always mess it up. Balaclava head.
Balaclava. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember Ben saying that on the most recent interview he did with Chris at Full Force, that it was going to be the head and then the helmet would go on top of it.
And one thing that I think is forgotten is that jetpack looks badass as hell. I mean, it's not like that Boba Fett backpack or the jetpack or even the G.I. Joe one where it looks like, you would actually like light your ass on fire.
The jump jet, yeah.
This actually looks like what a jetpack would look like for a real person. It's amazing. And then they had to come out with the Gary figure. And if anybody with the Joe community, Gary was the dude who could bring so many different people together. He was hilarious. He was Gyro Viper on the His Tank forum. He would find pre-production Joe figures and he would share them with everybody. So you got to see them. He was like the historian of the Joe brand. And it wasn't to him like, I'm going to collect all this stuff because I want to collect it. He did it because he wanted to share it with as many people.
Mm-hmm.
my interactions with Gary were all on the forums. I never, unfortunately, got to meet him in person, but he was such a great dude to talk to, and you could ask questions. And as a newer person to the Joe community, he wasn't a dick to you, and you could ask the dumb questions, and he would give you the honest answers. When Hasbro and Mark Webber had a big part in this with the Sightline figure, that came with the Sky Striker and the Chimera, the Cobra Hiss, the orange one. He was your on the ground spotter, and that was cool. And then I think it was at one of the conventions, one of the Joe teams, they came out with an O-ring figure, and they were giving them out for free because they were all friends with Gary. And then when Mark posted this, I mean, honestly, it did make me tear up because I just thought, what a great tribute to a great dude. And then you find out that, proceeds from this figure are going to Gary's family. It was just like, yeah, I'm going to buy a couple of these.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you get the hologram head with it. That's just crazy.
And I'd never thought about it. And I think it was it Mark that mentioned it on the Full Force interview, and said, well, with the hologram head, you could put together like a fire team or a platoon of them and put the hologram heads on there, because you have like you have the one guy, who's the leader, he's the main character, and then the other ones are all controlled by him, and the hologram is just there for for the appearances. And I'm like, damn it, now I'm gonna have to buy more. So but I mean, it's for a great cause too, so it's not like
But it's another one of those things where it's like, man, this is a great figure. This is awesome. I can't believe how awesome this is. And they're like, let me show you this. And you're just like, fudge. And again, this is using the buck from your Wolf Trooper, your Bloodwolf pilot, your Blood Weasel pilot. It's the same buck. It's just different paint apps, but it's that different head sculpt. So they're maximizing that buck, but still making it different enough to where you go, it makes sense, and I'm in.
But it's such a credit to the design, at least to me, that you're not getting that fatigue from seeing the same thing over and over. Because I mean, even in classified, we've had Duke and Flint that have used the same buck, and we're all just kind of like, okay, we're really, it's only been 2 figures and we're already tired of seeing it.
Well, think about it. You have Beachhead. That buck has been used for Beachhead, Firefly, the Commando Snake Eyes, Breaker. Those pieces have all been used from that one buck.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I get where companies have to, tooling is expensive. I get that. But you have to be able to use those parts and make them look different enough to where it suspends that belief that you're just getting screwed over. You're like, you know what? Best one, the barbecue figure, is Destro.
Dude, if I hadn't been told that, I never would have known.
And I wasn't a big fan of the barbecue figure. I had him as a kid. I was a big firefighter guy because my great uncles were firefighters here in my hometown. And after I found out that was Destro, I'm like, no, I'm like, holy crap, it is. Like, that's a great. And then that barbecue figure, I've got a new respect for. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick up another one. And I did, because I want to do a little bit of customizing with the one I have and give him a red-haired look without the helmet.
I wasn't going to get it at all because I really just wasn't interested in barbecue. I didn't really, back in the original Joe, I was like, barbecue, I'd rather have blowtorch. I want to start the fires. I don't want to put them out.
Right.
But I came across this one at Target, strangely enough, and it was just one of those things where I got to have it in hand and look at it and feel the heft of it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this one a shot. And he's in my display now, someplace I never thought he was going to be. So,
And that's one of those figures you're like, that's a great use of existing parts that you already had.
mm-hmm.
Good move. And that's what we see here with Robo Skull. So this is the 6-inch, and I believe we're going to get this with the 4-inch as well too. So this is the one of the stretch goals that was unlocked, and you can add this on for $20, but it's the pilot kit. So
this one, I believe, is just for the 6-inch.
Oh, so they're not going to have a Bob Breakin head for the 4-inch?
No, so the 4-inch will have the Bob Breakin head, but
Gotcha.
the Bloodwolf pilot and the Weasel only they come with the Robo Skulls. These are for if you're only a 6-inch collector. I believe that Ben had said that people were like, well, I don't collect 4-inch, I just want 6-inch. So they designed this so you could get 2 more. And I actually did this. So I only bought one of each of the 6-inch because I'm more interested in the 4-inch. But I did buy 2 extra Bloodwolves so that way I could make a 6-inch Weasel and Bloodwolf pilot.
Yep. So now I'm good too. And this is part of the stretch goal. So this was unlocked if you were in the Kickstarter, the all-in package. This you will get this kit with it, but you can also purchase a second one if you would like as well. And the head sculpts again, for the Bloodwolf pilot is going to be Bob Breakin. They're still working on that, the sculpting for that. But then Mark, who is the Skeletron man, is going to be the pilot for the Blood Weasel pilot because he was a big Wild Weasel fan.
Mm-hmm.
And that helmet and everything else looks great. But the coolest part, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to get a coffee cup. A freaking coffee cup.
With both scales, 4-inch
Yes.
and 6-inch, get a coffee cup with the Weasel.
So when I saw this, I instantly on Facebook, I'm like, okay, I want the coffee cup when I saw the picture. And then Ben's like, oh, it's done already. I'm like, this is going to be so freaking awesome. And there's a local coffee company here in Flint. It's called Rootless Coffee, and they did a blend with Danhausen, where it's Danhausen's picture on the sticker on the outside of the coffee. And they had a Danhausen mug. So I'm like tagging them on Facebook. I'm like, you guys need to do a Skeletron roast of coffee that we can tie into this. It has to be done. And I'm going to keep bugging them until they contact Ben and Mark, because I just think it would be hilarious if I can have my coffee with the Skeletron, my Skeletron figure, my Robo Skull, and then there's Mark holding a coffee cup. I'm like, this is just going to be perfect.
And you could get the Skeletron mug at the merch store.
At the Teespring store. And there's a
same
sale.
place where I got my shirt.
There was a sale last night, 35% off. I bought a pullover sweatshirt, and I did get a t-shirt like you as well too. So I will be representing Robo Skull and Skeletron. And I also got masks. So I'm digging that. So
yeah, I've got my mask that matches this one. I still want to get the t-shirt of the, I don't know, what would you consider it, the modern skull and crossbones design, and I need to get another mask to match that, because that's what kind of nerd I am. And I want to, and so it kind of annoys my poor wife because I have way too many coffee cups. Star Wars, Mandalorian, Halo coffee cups. I've got coffee cups. I got lots of coffee cups, but I want to get at least 2 more.
You can never have enough coffee cups. I don't care who you are.
I agree, but there's a limited amount of shelf space that we have, and there's like a shelf and a half that's nothing but my coffee cups that she could utilize for something else. So I understand her frustration.
So, God, it was probably like 3 or 4 years ago. Kate McLeod had made these Baron Ironblood coffee cups.
Oh, wow.
And she was like, I'm going to do a giveaway on Facebook, something else. And I had like, I'll never win. So I won the freaking cup.
Nice. Was it
and
like
it
his
is.
head with the helmet?
Hold on, I'll show you.
Okay.
Don't look at my big fat ass.
Why?
You're way back there. All right.
Oh my God, that is so cool.
So she had these on like an Etsy store, and this is the one I won. And oh, it's just, it was so cool, and it's one of my most cherished possessions because I've been trying to find a Baron Ironblood for ever. And when was it? Baron Zemo came out for the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, he's Baron. Bet you I could make him a Baron Ironblood. And he came with that coat, and I'm like that coat. And then I had an extra Cobra Commander figure, and so I customized and I made a Baron Ironblood out of Baron Zemo and Cobra Commander. So I'm going to have Ryan, our friend Ryan M, print me off 3D, print me off a helmet like this.
Oh yeah.
And then I'll have that for my Skeletron Robo Skull shelf because I've created a whole world of 6-inch figures.
Have you seen the Eagle Force, the 4-inch line that they're coming out with? That's going to be.
I hate to say this, and because I did give you a handful of my old 4-inch figures.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, I can't dabble in multiple scales. I just can't. I don't have the room.
Right.
I don't have the money. And I go down rabbit holes where I have to be a completist, and that's a dangerous thing.
Yep.
When I was collecting the Joes, I had to have 20 Crimson Guard. I had to have 20 Cobra Troopers. I had to have 20 Vipers. I had to have 20 of the EOs. I had the, and it was just like, you're not doing anything with them. And Classified came out, and I'm like, oh, I don't want 6-inch figures. I like 4-inch figures. I think these are stupid. And then frickin' Hasbro puts out the Zartan in the Classified line, and I went, son of a bitch.
Then they got you.
And I'm like, oh, in for a penny, in for a pound. And then it's like, now I got to go back and find all these figures. And, I paid more for some figures that I don't want to admit. But I have all my classifieds. So, but you know how that goes.
Yep.
And then, what else could we do? Oh, that guy Word Burglar who, has a Cobra Island album dedicated to rapping about G.I. Joe stuff says, let's have a vinyl record that you can purchase that will have unique art, which you can't get anyplace else, which going back to the Robo Skull, the Skele-Drone arts, this is all art produced by the same gentleman. His name is escaping me right now.
I'm sitting here trying to remember it. All I can remember is that he did the cover for, I think it was Destroyer for Kiss and Love Gun, some of the classic Kiss albums.
Yeah, and that goes back to Ben being able to, reach out to people and talk them into doing stuff like for this. So this vinyl press from Word Burglar is going to have new music. And you buy the 7-inch vinyl record, it's going to feature the music by Word Burglar and Cosmic Orphan. Plus, you'll get a digital download for people like me who don't have a turntable. So it's just another little thing that goes along with this that just makes it a little bit more special.
And if you haven't heard the Welcome to Cobra Island album, I highly suggest you find yourself a streaming service someplace, because it is so freaking cool. It is really badass.
Just look it up on Google, and you can actually go to Word Burglar's fan site, and you can listen to the album. I actually own the digital copy of it. I purchased it the first time I heard it. I'm just like, this is so awesome. And if you follow at all the Joburg guys, which I do, when they made the trek from South Africa to, I think it was Tennessee for the last JoeCon, and there was a show that Word Burglar did right around that area. I think it was in Nashville, that downtown area. And Rob actually ended up on stage with Word Burglar, and they had this all taped. And it was right after that he just started to blow up. Plus, with this track, this album, I believe that Chris McLeod did some of the background vocals,
Yes.
or the music for it as well, too. So,
yeah, he was talking about that the other day.
And that just goes back to just how talented this Joe community is.
Mm-hmm.
But
not just a bunch of nerds with action figures, man.
Well, that's us.
Other stuff too.
But we're nerds with cool action figures.
Very cool.
Dude, if we're talking to our 8 or 10-year-old selves, we would think like we made it.
Yeah, this would be the pinnacle. I'd be like, dude, you got a wife and a house, and remember how you wanted to buy all the G.I. Joes you ever wanted? You're basically doing that.
Yeah. And guess what? And I don't have to do this or that. And yeah, we made it.
Work from home. Just don't. I just won't tell myself about the Rise of Skywalker.
Stop.
That's a whole other thing, because I love The Force Awakens. I really like The Last Jedi, but Rise of Skywalker, I just couldn't friggin' stand. But
I have a theory on this. I think that movies come at certain times where it's perfect timing. Those Star Wars films, when they came out in the late 70s and the early part of the 80s, it was the perfect time for them. It was on the back end of the sci-fi. Star Trek was out there, Battlestar Galactica. It was just a perfect time. The 80s in movies was the silver or the golden age of just great movies that were stupid, but yet you wanted to watch them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the Marvel MCU movies would be popular back then. I think it's perfect now because it was just the perfect time. And I don't think Star Wars just needed a different story, and it was the same as the first 3 movies. So
yeah.
But I'm sorry.
That's a whole other show.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail us, man.
You know what? It's our show, and we can do what we want.
That's true.
And then this crazy...
Dude. My nipples are getting hard just looking at this picture. This is so freaking amazing.
So they had a 4-inch scale Robo Skull. And then call sign Longbow. Gridstone? No.
Grindstone.
Thank you. They're saying, oh, well, we're going to give you a 3 3/4 inch Skeletron head to go with our figure. And then Marauders, and they're like, well, we're going to do a 4-inch Skeletron figure because you need to have a 4-inch Skeletron figure. And then Marauder says, hey, for the last stretch goal, let's make a 6-inch Skeletron figure. And, we're going to give him a blaster and like a laser sword. This is Terminator. This is the Terminator robot from the very first movie.
It's like the king of the Terminators.
And if they can figure out the articulation for these 6-inch figures, which Ben did say that either looking at like having the classified type of articulation.
Mm-hmm.
This Skeletron figure in the 4 and the 6-inch scale, I think will be the figure of the year for 2023 when this finally gets released, because people are going to see this and just go, what the hell?
this is going to blow people's minds. And I kind of hope that they're able to do something like because the pre-orders and stuff all end April 30th. But I'm kind of hoping that like afterwards, that Marauders is going to be able to sell the figures, even if they change it, like change the paint schemes or something like that to where they're not exactly the same as to what we got in the Kickstarter. But if they can manage to get Skeletrons out to where they're just selling it to the general populace, I don't think that stuff's ever going to stay in stock.
No. Can you imagine this in just all silver and black?
Yes.
I
Yes,
mean,
I can.
or how about a dark metallic green and black, or a gold and black, or it's endless. And
Like a gunmetal, stealth version, like the Dark Troopers, one that looks like painted like the Dark Troopers from the Mandalorian.
I need my towel now.
And
I didn't even think
dude,
about
the
that.
hairs are standing up on my freaking arm.
And then to take like the dark saber from that line and have the dark saber with a metallic black and silver Skeletron.
Game over, man. Game over.
And here it's just, and they blew this stretch goal out of the water. Blew it out of the water. It was like almost what, $430,000 was the stretch goal to get to this. And
it was up there. And I remember us talking about it that night, like before I went to bed, where I'm like, man, we've only got a few days left. I hope we can make it to, to unlock the 6-inch Skeletron. And I'd gotten up and gone to work. And I don't even think I'd finished my first cup of coffee before you texted me. And you're like, it's it. We got it all, baby.
Refresh. Yeah. Nobody better cancel this shit. That's all I'm saying. Nobody better cancel this. I want my 6-inch Skeletron. And they did. And, they're just like, but it just doesn't end there. So again, like we said earlier with Brian Hickey and Patty Lennon, they've done, I think, 2 or 3 Action Force books. Mm-hmm. And Brian is and Patty are both amazing. Brian is an amazing photographer. And if you've gotten to see any of these Action Force books, it harkens back to the old catalogs that you would see from Europe of these Action Force, the G.I. Joe. And just like this, these are original Action Force figures, and they've got the modern Robo Skull with them. You're going to get this hardcover book, and it's included in the Kickstarter. And you can now purchase this as well, too, I believe. Yep. So these are like the little things. It goes with the Word Burglar album. It's the little tchotchke type items that you just go, yeah, we're not only getting action figures, but we're getting something that's it's going to help us remember how awesome this whole process was. And going through a number of different Kickstarter that I have, this has been the funnest. And
I think I've been spoiled because this was my second. The first one was the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Primal series. This is my second one that I was that I went through from beginning to end. And AWOC funded really fast. And this one funded really fast. But I agree with you. It was like all of us, people we had never even talked to before, we're all like, oh, look, we're at this, and we're out telling our friends about it, and just kind of like the grassroots campaign, and we're rooting for this, like, because I remember telling Ben, it's like we've all got skin in the game,
yeah,
and all we are is we're just buying the toy, but it's like this has become a little family of collectors now for the Robo Skull, and we're all doing everything we can to try to make this successful.
The Usos on WWE, they have that T-shirt that's like day one.
Mm-hmm.
I want a Robo Skull day one T-shirt. That's what I'm hoping they put on their Teespring store. And it's one of those things like I'm number 6, day one. That's what I think would be cool.
Yeah, you've done something special when people are like, I was number 6. I was number 4. I was number 10. People remember the number that they were of the bag, and they're proud of that.
Well, I'm gonna have to get car seats for both my Robo Skulls so I can take them with me everywhere I go.
Well, yeah,
I
you
mean,
want to show them around.
yeah, they're children. I mean, it's
Like,
like I'm
look
gonna
here,
go.
let's take you to Walmart.
I need to get family photos, son.
Yeah, too bad Sears isn't a thing anymore. You go to Sears, and you're like holding your Robo Skull, doing the pictures from back in the 70s where they had the family, and then you had like the shadow looking down. You could have the shadow Robo Skulls looking down at you.
I want the '80s background with the lasers, with my Robo
Yes,
Skull head.
yes.
But it's these little things that went with this Kickstarter because they're bringing in more folks to make this successful. And I've never seen this in a Kickstarter. You have Grindstone, you have Marauders, you have, Patty Lennon and Brian Hickey. You have Word Burglar now. They just keep bringing in Bob Breakin, Christopher
Bob
Cloud.
freaking Breakin.
But they brought in all these different people and they all have a piece of this.
Mm-hmm.
And
And Word Burglar's done successful Kickstarters. Brian and Patty have done successful Kickstarters. Marauders have done, several successful Kickstarters. So, that was what kind of got me right there is whenever I saw that Marauders was involved, I was like, well, obviously they're legit or MJ wouldn't have anything to do with this.
And the gentleman who's the project manager for the factory, he also worked with Bobby Valla for Action Force.
Mm-hmm. Dave Proctor.
Dave Proctor and it's Spartan Toys. That's what his company is. He's
mm-hmm.
part of this as well too.
Mm-hmm.
And Marauders. And if you don't know who Marauders Task Force or Marauders Gunrunners are, go and look them up because it's going to blow you away the stuff that they make.
Here's one of my Marauders figures that that I've had.
So
this one's still in the process of being worked on, but if you're curious about that.
And when Marauders kicked off, it was just weapons for 1/18th scale figures. And for a Joe fan like me who was buying a lot of stuff off eBay, you had to go there to get the guns that you needed. Well, then they kicked off their own action figures. And if you jumped in on their Kickstarter, fun fact, if you didn't know this, if you reached a certain goal, you would send them a picture and they would cast your head.
Oh, wow.
So the original Kickstarter for those original Marauder Task Force figures, you could get your own head sculpt out of resin. And so there was a handful of people that got those. And when I saw that, I'm like, dude, that's just so smart. And then they said, okay, now we're going to do a Kickstarter for Valkyrie. So they brought out female figures. And you're like, oh, that's cool. And then they did contract ops, and then they did suited bodies, and then they just kept coming out with more and more. And then they said, well, we're going to do World War II figures. And when that took off, I mean, they funded in like a week. And then they launched this Vietnam Kickstarter, and they did $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
It was like almost 30 stretch goals. They just oh, we unlocked this one. 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 So, like you were saying, all these people have been successful in these Kickstarters, and bringing them all together. 95 minutes. 95 minutes this funded.
This reminds me of the super bands that we used to have in the 80s. Whenever you'd have like the guitar player from this one band and the drummer from this one, and like Damn Yankees, you had a guy from you had Ted Nugent and a guy from Styx, and another guy from Night Ranger. It's a super band. This was like the super Kickstarter.
This is like if Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, Eric Clapton, and a couple of the Beatles all got together and said, let's form a band. I bet you we can sell a couple albums. And they have.
Just a couple.
Just a couple. Maybe we can do 200. Maybe. So now we're going to bring you to Custom Corner, where we're just going to talk about all of our good customs that we've done. So, as you can see on the screen, this is my Skeletron, my Robo Skull, and I blame Kit Bash Creations for this sickness now I have. So when he starts putting out Red Shadow figures, I'm going, yeah, I'm going to take that Destro and I'm going to make him a Red Jackal. And you're like, oh, I already got that. I just need to put a sticker on him. Like, damn.
And you made one and sent to Ben, and that was really cool. He dug that a lot. And let's not forget to mention that this very picture was voted to be the what is it, the banner picture?
Yes.
For oh, come on, Chris, what was it? What was the group?
I forgot, and I feel so bad. I need to find out what it is because, and I'm glad you brought this up because I think they sent me this for making it, and I need to find out. It's one of my GI Joe classified customs classified groups, and I will put that in the link for the show. But again, so they sent me this. This is just awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's the commemorative collection. This is based off the original 12-inch GI Joes.
Oh, nice.
So it's the Action Sailor. So I don't know if we can. Friends new to this still, but yeah. So
that's really cool.
This came and I'm like, did I buy that? I don't think I just did that, but
I love how we're in that position in life too, to where we can be like, wait, did I buy that? Where did that come from?
I had a buddy I grew up with. He's one of my good friends, but he worked third shifts, so he would come home and he would get a 6-pack of beer, and he's a big car guy. And he would get a little buzzed, and then he would go and get his Jegs catalog out, and he would start ordering car parts.
Oh, wow.
And not remember what he ordered. So,
yeah. I've worked with a guy who would do something similar on Amazon. And I remember that he came in one day and he had 5,000 stickers that said for rectal use only, because he just got drunk and he found them on Amazon and bought them. So for months, he was going around the office putting these stickers on different things, and I took my drill up there one day because I can't even remember what we were doing, but when I came home, there's a for rectal use only sticker on there, and I left it on there. I was like, that's brilliant. I got to keep it. So there's another, derailment of the conversation, but yeah.
It's our show. It's our island. We can do what we want. So first custom I'm going to bring up is my Dr. Venom. Hopefully you can see this.
That is so cool.
So
did you get the? Did White Mike get the?
So he sent me the container, but there was an issue with the postage on it, and so it got sent back to him. So I'm like, I need to find something. So I went on to Amazon, speaking of that bad place, and I found these little levels, but they're in a plastic box. And so I'm like, oh, I want those. And they were like $1.99. But Mike did send me another package with those again. So now I do have them. But my Dr. Venom is a mix of Professor X from X-Men's Origins, or the movie with First Class, that series, and then the Reed Richards Marvel Legends figure that just came out because he had removable arms. And then this is the Eric Lanchard head from that same MCU. They're now MCU, but the Fox X-Men movie. So I've just put this together. I'm like, this is just a perfect Dr. Venom. One G.I. Joe classified figure that we didn't have. And I have for Halo fans, there is it's like the sleep container that they must have had.
The cryo chamber in Halo 4?
Yes. And so I picked one of those up at a local flea market toy store we have around here for like $10. And I'm like, this will go perfect. Now I have a brainwave scanner and I have a Dr. Venom. I'm going to throw Snake Eyes in there and take some pictures. So, but I know you've been working on some pretty amazing customs lately as well.
I've got a bunch of stuff that is like partially done that I'm kind of mad at myself for. You know, like this guy that I showed earlier. Um, I actually got this body came from you. This was in the group of stuff that you sent, and for some reason I stuck a vest and the helmet on him, and he just kind of stayed that way. And I'm like, I'll figure out something later. And then a couple of weeks ago, I was watching 13 Hours about Benghazi. I'd never seen it, and it finally I stumbled across it. And dude, it was such a freaking amazing movie. And as soon as I was done watching it, I scooped this guy up and I started putting stuff on his vest, and I've been putting together his M4, and I'm like, I'm gonna do that whole crew.
That was
Such a great movie.
And that's a Michael Bay movie, and I usually don't care for Michael Bay movies.
That blew my mind when I was watching the end credits, and I was like, Michael Bay, what the frick? Yeah, I had no idea that he had anything to do with that.
But it was absolute amazing movie. The cast that they had, um, a number of those guys have come from different shows. The redheaded gentleman who got blown, his hands got blown up. He was on the unit. He was Mac from the unit. The gentleman at the end who got killed from the mortar, he came from the Pacific. He was in that as well too. And then of course John, he was in the Jack Ryan Amazon series. So it was just cool that you could, if you are a military fan genre, which that's me, seeing those guys from different shows come into those, it's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get off topic here, but we can because it's our show. Burn Notice. Michael from Burn Notice in this is horrible. The Sicario movies blew me away when I saw him in there. Is that Dickie CIA guy? But I'm like, this is just perfect. Having those type of characters who have that history and those other type of spy military, and then seeing them in different movies, you're like, oh, this is just awesome. I know this is going to be a good show now. So, but yeah. And so you had turned me on to, is it Jms Armory? And so I finally got my order in today. And the one thing, so this is a custom Duke. I'm almost thinking now this is turning into my Vietnam Snake Eyes. But this is a breaker body with Duke legs that I did the woodland camo on. This is a from Gridiron Studios. They have the camo net that came with that gung ho pack. So I have this, and with the gung ho pack, you also got this, which this is Hit and Run's rifle. I'm sorry, but this is Hit and Run's rifle from G.I. Joe, and it's perfect. But then, damn Gridiron, dude,
Wallet Assassins.
I'm claiming them as dependents because every time they put something out, I spend more on them than I do my own kid. But they created a break apart sniper rifle, 50 cal.
Oh, wow.
And listening to Mark talk about it, he's like, yeah, we wanted to do a 50 cal, but we didn't want to do something with a magazine. And I'm like, I can see why you wouldn't want to do that because it just makes it harder. And I'm like, I could live without the magazine. It's a 50 cal. I'm into snipers. I think those are really cool. Enemy at the Gates is one of my favorite movies.
Great movie.
And, I'm like, this is perfect. I even watched, is it Sniper? The 15 different sniper movies they have. But that's the painted up version that they have of the 50 cal, and it comes in a black version. So I bought this one, and I'm like, well, now I need the black one. So I bought that too. but this is the actual bolt action 50 cal. So it's just one round at a time, but it's perfect. So that gets back to Jms Armory, and oops. So they have these boonie hats, and they're made from resin, and they're see-through, so I have to paint it. But the godfather of G.I. Joe, Larry Hama, if you've read any of the recent issues, Snake Eyes always had the boonie hat covering his eyes.
Right.
And now I have this, and now I'm thinking this might be my Vietnam era Snake Eyes.
Yeah. I see that coming together too.
And this was just a complete, like, what the hell was I thinking?
Mm.
And then that crazy sucker over at Jms Armory creates bat attachments. So I have this sick fascination with glow in the dark. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have a UV light, flashlight, you need to get one. But the sucker glows in the dark.
That is so freaking cool.
And the sword is reactive to the UV light, so it looks like he has a laser sword attachment on his arm. And he also created a ball, a mace attachment for the bats as well too. So,
have you seen the minigun that he's been working on? When he finalizes that, that's going to be something else.
It's on his Etsy store.
Oh, he did finish it?
Yeah, Marauder Ruben has it.
Oh,
he posted pictures of it today.
Ruben's got everything.
Dude, he's got the hookup. He's seriously connected, man. Seriously connected, man.
So one of the other ones that I was able to finish was I kind of bashed together a Baroness. So this was, I don't know if that's coming through clear or not.
Oh, yeah.
That was a Baroness head that was, it was just kind of floating around in the bag of heads.
It's the rise of Cobra Baroness head.
Mm-hmm. And the body was from Lady J Rise of Cobra. It was the kind of sort of camo,
yes,
like Air Force camo. But I really I wanted a crimson Baroness. So I worked on it to make, I painted it crimson and gave her the Cobra suitcase, and I just kind of put the parts together, and this is one of my favorite paint jobs, especially for a 4-inch figure, because the 4-inch figures have been a little bit more difficult to paint, and a lot of times I'm really bad about being heavy-handed with the paint. But like I had masked off the black parts and was finally able to like patiently paint it. It took a while, and it took a little while working on the joints, to get those to where they didn't, they weren't, getting paint rub and stuff on those. But I put a lot of time into it, but I really think it was worth it. It's a simple, like I said, it's a simple little figure. It's just a head swap essentially in painting it, but I'm really proud of how well she turned out. So,
and sometimes it's what we think is the simplest ones are the best, because it's just, it fits. It's like, why didn't we have this figure to begin with? And I love that that Crimson Baroness. The Joe Collector Club had a set where it was the Crimson Twins and the Crimson Guard, but it had a Crimson Baroness with it.
Yeah, that's what I stole the idea from that.
And it's amazing. And it's like, you can't find that figure for less than, $150. So it's just stupid.
Yeah, when I went looking, like eBay and Mercari, and I was like, oh, well, no, there's no way I'm paying that. I was like, well, I've got this body that I don't really like the head sculpt for, and I've got this head sculpt with no body. And, so basically I put my chocolate on my peanut butter and busted out my paints and went for it,
And you did a great job. It looks amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And then my final custom, and this was because of you sending, we traded, and I got that extra breaker. And then, of course, Gridiron with their gosh darn kits. But this is my version of rock and roll. Get his helmet off. So I took the breaker head, gave him a blonde paint job, and then this is the Cobra Island roadblock top, and I used acetone to take all the paint off, and then these are the gung ho legs with a little bit of the camo on it, and then I added extra like smoke grenades or frag grenades, and then this, of course, is the Gridiron M60 machine gun with everything. And so now I have my heavy gunner rock and roll, because I don't know when we're going to see this in the classified line. So
Yeah, and if they even do it, you know, will they do the weird one that was like had the dual, you know, there's no way a human being could hold these Gatling gun things, and you know,
I had that. That was the Collector Club put out the modern version of that, and when I got that in, I'm like, I don't like this at all.
It was. I wasn't sad that I'd missed that, you know, era of Joe. It's just, you know, because I started out with the original 13, and and I understand why they went where they went, you know, but now seeing a lot of those 90s Joe line, I'm just like, oh yeah, that really wasn't me. So I'm not sad that I missed that.
But that figure was a nice looking rock and roll figure in the 90s itself. It's just that the spring action missile loading figures just weren't my jam.
Yeah, I didn't like gimmick figures.
We didn't have that. We didn't have something that, you know, we had our imagination of going, shoo, and you'd like toss that missile at whatever you're trying to blow up. So, but yeah, I'm right there with you.
So my final custom for the night, working on my head cannon, the prisoner capsule in the Robo Skull, and in the Crimson Hiss from the Pursuit of Cobra, has a spot in it too in the back where it opens up and you can put a figure in there. So what my head cannon has decided is that when the Red Shadows capture somebody, they put them in these things and they get brainwashed and they augment them as needed. So this is my first War Hive Trooper.
When you posted those, I was like, holy shit. I almost thought that was the Series 2 Valaverse. Like, I thought that was a 6-inch figure when I first saw that.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm like, that's bad. Who the hell? And then I realized, I'm like, that's a Marauder's body. I'm like, damn, that's a 4-inch figure. That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome.
I've got this. So these are going to be my heavy gunners. Excuse me. I ordered earlier today. I ordered the Gridiron miniguns that will go on here. So, and I've also got. I need to get the figures, but I got the backpack. This is the jetpack, or you know, sort of. This is for the.
That's that mech suit from
for the
Marauders.
mech suit. Yeah.
Yes.
So I originally tried to use it on this one, but the belt interferes with the ability. The peg's kind of small, so the belt here kind of interferes with that. But what I'm going to do to get around that is, instead of this is it's got the straps that connect to the belt. I'm just going to get the harness for like the harness for the gyro gun.
Oh yeah.
And just leave the belt, leave the belt off of it. So that'll make that to where that'll make room for it. And then in the vein of the bat, so they had sold, Marauder sold a kit that was most of these parts, which is, I bought 2 of these kits and I put, but then I did some changes, but they were doing like a sort of a Marauder's bat. Well, I took that backpack You know, you've got the claw and then this other little thing here. But I added from the gun. Let me get this up here. From the these are the parts from it's not a gyro gun. What the hell is that called?
The steady gun.
Yeah, the Steadicam gun. So this was what held the Steadicam gun. This was a rocket launcher pod. I cut off the peg, and this is for the exosuits as well. And I super glued it onto there. So now it can go up and down as I want. I've got a flamethrower piece where I need to get another back power. Actually, I have the parts. I need to put it together. To where a guy can have a flamethrower. So I'm just going to put together what did I call the War Hive? It's human. Oh, come on. Human something or other variable enhancements is what I came up with for the acronym. I've got it written down somewhere because I knew I would forget it. But I'm going to do like a group of like different types of these. That's what whenever you get captured and brainwashed by the by red shadows, you get turned into one of these guys. And I'm working on this was a Hiss 3, the blue one. So I've made it black, and I want to put some yellow on it because these are black and yellow, right? But I can't figure out where I want to put the yellow. Originally, I was going to do like a little paint scheme here for the yellow, but then Gridiron, being who they are, released these bad mamma jammas. And the way that it sits is, it'll kind of, hopefully this is somewhat, you can tell what's going on here.
Yeah, because you got
hooks.
It's got the rocket pods, and then there's Gatling guns.
Yeah, there's Gatling guns below it. So I still may do some yellow back here, and I'm working on a fully customized gun to go on the, because this slips down in here where you would normally have this. I really love the Marauder, or not the Marauder, the Gridiron, the double 50 cal. But I'd already started working on this other one first.
And it seems like with this head cannon too, you'd almost want, and this is just me, you'd almost want to have something that's more like railgun, EMP, something like that.
Okay, you talked me into it.
Because if you've got these Hive Troopers, I'm thinking that these are Cobra used to take like certain pilots and they would put electronics in their brains and different stuff like that. I can see that that's what Skeletron and Red Shadows would do.
So this is very, very rough, right? And this is only a piece, but this is going to be part of the cannon.
And I hate to say this, but that's the best use of those railguns that I've seen.
When I saw that, I was like, yeah, that's where that's got to go. So I'm working on, this is just primer. I'm working on, it's a hood type device that came from like this robot kit that one of my kids had that they've lost pieces for, that sits on here. And I bought some styrene that I want to fit on there, to make it look like, sort of like a metallic cover. And I haven't worked with styrene before. So that's why, I've got to work on that a little bit. But when I get done, this is going to be the cannon on this one. And it's like my EMP gun or like, ray gun, for lack of another, a better term, that's what the War Hive guys are going to use. And I've already got the hyena, the replicated hyenas that I did for, Red Shadows proper. And I've got a fourth one that I'm kind of tossing around ideas as to how I want to go with that. I haven't quite decided what I want for that one yet. And that's why, dude, if I could find some of these hisses on sale at Walmart, I'm gonna get several. even though I don't have room for them, to display them. But
But
I've had a blast with these modding these HISS tanks.
you customize them and then you take them out in the spring and the summer and lay them out. It's perfect. It's almost like those are your Red Shadow Marines, and
Mm-hmm.
the Red Shadows themselves are like the Navy. And
these are going to be the fodder, that they send out, because they used to be enemy troopers, so they don't care how many of them get killed.
And with Black Major being part of the Red Shadows, where he was part of Action Force and then was turned, it just makes complete sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a great idea. Think about painting the railgun tips yellow.
Yes, that's been a thought.
God, that would be awesome. Yeah, because especially if it's like an EMP, they shoot the EMP and it kills all of the electronics on the other, the enemy's weapons, and then
Mm-hmm.
they've got the rocket pods and the miniguns that you can just open fire on. Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah, you've got no guidance system for your enemies have no guidance system or tracking or anything like that, and then you just tear into them.
Yeah, and then of course you can bring in Robo Skulls right over the top and just take them out without. Oh, I'm going to share one last thing just because I've been watching a lot of terrain type of videos, people doing custom like nature scenes and different stuff like that. And this was something that I
Yes.
worked on, and just something I was so proud of. And this is the pink insulation foam that you get from Home Depot. And watching what some of these artists are doing, it's crazy. So I took plaster of Paris, Mod Podge, which I didn't know how freaking great Mod Podge was, but
Mm-hmm.
oh my god, it's amazing. In white paint, and I painted over the pink foam, and it created this terrain. So, like where you see like these rocks here, that's actually Mod Podge, and then I got to paint it, and then I took Mod Podge over the top of the paint and then glued down dirt. I'm like, you can do that, and grass. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is something that I worked on, and I just had so much fun doing it. So I think I'm going to do some more of this.
When you first sent me this, it took me a minute to find Duke. Because I was looking at Firefly and and the troopers and everything, and I was like, "What are they doing?" I was like, because the first thing I thought of was your Zartan Dio, and I was like, "What are they doing? Are they going after Zartan?" And then I went, "Oh, you crafty dude!" I finally spotted him, and I was like, "Now I get it. You did a great job of hiding him in there."
And that's looking at this picture too. It makes me go, "This is Snake Eyes." With that boonie hat, putting him on there, and then I don't know if you can see down here, like that's a snake. That's a python that's going through there too. So
Ooh,
I'm
no,
gonna
I didn't see that before.
get some
Yeah,
little critters to put in there too. But man, this was just so much fun. And
you killed it, man.
like you just said, creating in your head, you're being creative, thinking up stories of what to do with these toys. This is what makes toys so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I think as adults we're drawn to that, because you're still being creative, and when you're creative it's fun. It makes you feel better. You're using your brain, and taking pictures of this stuff and sharing them with your friends. It's just awesome. It's just so much fun. It's just so much fun.
Especially whenever you separate yourself from all the BS. It's been the last few months have been so great at collecting. With with you and Kenneth and Ryan M and all the guys that I've got to meet recently. Dude, it's just been. I've had more fun. It reminds me of whenever I first got back into collecting. Before I got all riled, tied up into all that drama. I was having so much fun then, and now I'm back. I'm back to having fun again, and dude, it's changed. It's changed so much in my life. It's I love this hobby. Love it.
It You feel so positive once you create something and you share it with your friends.
Yeah.
And the group of folks that you're talking about, Ryan puts out these that TJ Bang that he put out, that
Mm-hmm.
6 inch. I'm just like, he killed that. He absolutely killed that. And he's like, I'm making Ninja Force, and I've been messing with him. I call him BJ Pop Rocks in the Fruit Brute game. But it's seeing like with you doing customs and then Ryan doing customs and all the guys on Instagram who you've introduced me to, when you see them putting those custom figures out, it gets you motivated to go do it too.
Yeah.
And one of the things I struggle with, and you might as well, you get like 90% of the way done with the figure, and then you're like, I'm done with it. And I'll see you put something out, and I'm like, damn it, I'm gonna finish that, because that I know that feeling.
We all feed off of each other's motivation. I think you see somebody, like you or Ryan will post something, and even like, because a lot of your dioramas that's not something that I do, but I'll see one of your dioramas and go, oh man, that makes me, I got to get back to work on this thing. And so like I start working on that chopper again. One of these days I'm going to finish that thing.
Oh, you get that chopper. Oh, that's going to be so soft. But it's also, you need to have that moment where it moves you to go, I need to add this to it. Or I need to add this to it. And I think that's, for the dios, for me, it's been something I was never comfortable with, but I've looked from them at afar and see what people have done. And I'm like, try it. If it sucks, I don't care, but at least have fun with it.
Yeah.
And I think this will help lead us into our next, the last part of our segment is the shout outs. Oilers Workshop. That guy on YouTube puts out some amazing stuff, but he walks you through so many tutorials on how to do painting, how to do concrete work from foam. He even does these little segments where he takes you with him to the store, and he's like, I buy this, I buy this, I buy this because this is what I use it for. And it's those type of things like that make you better, and it teaches you little things. But it's somebody who's sharing that knowledge where in the past we never would get that from people. So, but do you have any shout outs you want?
I do. Hawkeye from Go Figure Customs. He's been doing a series of 2-minute, he calls them the 2-minute tutorials, where he'll take one of his customs and he'll be like, I did this and I did this, and this is how I did that, and I used this paint and this brush, and dude, I've learned so much from him just in the last few weeks from those 2-minute tutorials, and his stuff is really, really good.
Did you see his Ghostbuster figures, his 4-inch Ghostbuster figures?
Yes.
He used magnets to actually hold on the proton packs. It blew my mind. I'm like, why didn't I think of that? But his paint work, the detail he gets in a 4-inch figure, he is like Jedi level customizer in a 4-inch scale. It blows me away what his abilities, crazy what he can come up with.
That's why when he put out the call like a month or so ago, he goes, does anybody have this roadblock? I need this. It was one of the Dwayne Johnson roadblocks, and I had one that I was working on. I was trying to think of a custom, and just nothing was coming to me. And he had asked for somebody, if anybody had the legs, and I was like, dude, you can have mine. And he's like, oh great, how much do you want? I was like, nothing, take it. Just because I know that whenever he gets it, that he's going to put it together and he'll show everybody what he did, and I'll just be like, oh, I wish I'd have thought of that. Good thing I got another one.
Yeah, and it's just that, no, take it, because I want to see what you're going to do with it, because that's my entertainment. I'm going to watch your video of what you do with it, and the stuff he does, the Eel Team 6.
Oh yes, that was so amazing. That one was so good. And he'll tell you too, because like I would message him on Facebook and I go, hey, where did you get that the scuba pack that you got for him? He sends me the link. He goes, it was this thing right here. I got it right here. He's not one of those guys that's like, no, well, I'm not going to tell you because I don't want you to go do it. No, he encourages you to go try to do it. He's a great dude.
Brian's an amazing dude. Him and JD, they have their own podcast. It's an amazing show. They share everything. JD is awesome. They interviewed Ben too.
Mm-hmm.
My next shout out is going to be to the man, Hooded Cobra Commander 788. He's back. Brian struggled with a lot of things, and he had disappeared, and some of us were stalking him on Facebook, and I was so happy to see him back. He is trying to get to Joe Fest. He's got a table. He's got a GoFundMe. I will attach that in the link if I can figure out how to do that. Hopefully we can. But it's good to see Brian back. I am a patron of his channel, and I've been one for quite some time. And one of the things is you get a sketch from him. And so
Oh,
I got my
cool.
sketch today, and he asked you what you want. And I said, I wanted a Hooded Cobra Commander with you taking the mask off, and it's you. And so I'm going to get a frame for this, and this will go up on my wall.
Very
But
cool.
he's a cool dude. A lot of us deal with mental health issues. People deal with it, especially with COVID in the last 2 years. And Brian was not shy about sharing his experiences and what he went through. And because of that, he's got my support 1,000%. And if you want to talk about a person putting out content, the dude is crazy. He
Yeah.
puts out the content.
Yeah. He's been just steady putting stuff out. So my final shout out for the night are my guys from the Welcome to the Terradrome.
Yes.
You can find it on the Geeks Have Game channel on YouTube. Travis and the guys there, they've got the a toy kind of mood. Travis has done some unboxing. They do reviews that we just started doing. Welcome to the Terradrome. It's a GI Joe show with a custom focus. It's myself, KJ, Anthony, and Travis. And if you haven't seen Anthony's classified customs, then you are missing out, because I fell in love with his work when I saw his Recondo. The paint is it's so clean, and just everything about his figures is gorgeous. He puts those next to his regular like store-bought classifieds, and normally you could be like, oh yeah, I could tell that's a handmade thing, but they all look like they belong together. Anthony is killing it, and Travis is just such a great guy. It was so funny that, like, because KJ and I were talking, and then he brought Travis into it, and then Travis is like, hey, let's do a Joe show about customs. And I was thinking, yeah, sure, okay, we can do that. And I didn't think anything was going to come of it, really. And then boom, there it is. We've got that going on. And I'm like, really, you want me to be on your show? It's like, you barely even know me. They're like, oh yeah, no, we know enough about you. I'm like, it's the acceptance that you always want. And KJ, he's such a good dude, such a good guy. I can't say enough good things
I
about
know.
Kevin, man.
I was messaging Travis last night. He was, we were watching What's on Joe Mind, another great podcast. And, he brought up a great point that I didn't think about is, since the classified series has come out, you have new people coming to the Joe line.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us, like with Gary, people don't know who Gary was. They don't know some of the old guard that we see, like the What's on Joe Mind crew. They've been doing that podcast for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And they were on Podbeam, and they've had on so many people like Daryl the Priest, which, if you don't know, go watch the Toys That Made Us if you're a G.I. Joe fan, because he's the godfather of G.I. Joe.
Mm-hmm.
They've had talked to Larry Hama at some of the Joe cons. They've been there. Joe Colton with cosplay. But we need to, as the Joe community, make sure that we're opening our arms and explaining everything to our newer members. And Travis is one of those folks. And with the Geeks Have Game and a Toy Kind of Mood channel, the fact that they're not at least 1,000 subscribers is criminal, because those guys put out some of the best content that's out there right now. If it's He-Man, they're talking about it. If it's Star Wars, they're talking about it. Transformers, talking about it. G.I. Joe, hello. We just talked about that too. You know, Action Force, Robo Skull, they're covering everything. And when you watch their shows, it's 2 or 3 guys that are friends. They're talking about stuff they love. And it's so much fun. Travis is an animal, and he's such a breath of fresh air into this community.
And plus, whenever he makes it famous, we can all be like, hey, we know that guy.
Yeah. I saw him on TV. Yeah.
I did a show with Travis.
Exactly. That's what I keep telling him. I'm like, we need you in a tank top. That's going to get us views. So just, get subs. But
yeah, because I told him I'm not doing any more topless shows, man. I'm retired.
Those 8x10s.
I said it's up to you now, buddy. I'm passing the torch.
But great. And then my final shout out is going to go to Chris McLeod, the Full Force, and then of course my boys at Joburg. Those crazy dudes from South Africa and Steve now in Australia. They're Joe Motion. The videos they put out with little toy action figures, just it blows me away. The first video I ever saw, Dylan, my son, he found the flag video that they did, where Steve's like describing the flag. He's like, I bought it, so me and my friends could play with it. And then they're like, but it needed to be a little bit taller. So he walks you through how they added blocks to make it taller. And it needed to be on wheels. And I'm just sitting there going, damn, that's a great idea. But it was tongue-in-cheek. It was fun. I know they get mad when you say this, but if you've ever watched the show Top Gear, I am a huge fan of that show. Clarkston, Richard, May, and Hammond. When you hear them describe a car or something like that, you hear the passion, you hear the tongue-in-cheek, you hear them being real. That's what those Joburg guys do for me too. So, but that's my last one. Chris, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Oh, brother, thanks for having me on, dude. It's just nice to kind of sit down and just BS about the stuff that we love, and not worry about views and subscriptions and all that. We're just talking, dude. If nobody watches it, I don't give a crap. It was fun. It was just fun doing it with you. Now, people are going to watch it because we're awesome, but if it didn't happen, it that's fine.
But I just like to be able to sit and BS with you. Just in case you guys don't know, Chris is one of my best friends. And we've never met face to face.
It's weird how that happens, right? Welcome to the future, kids.
But and I, with everything that's happened in the last 2 years, it's nice to have somebody that you can, have a sounding board to. And
hell yeah.
So
dude, you got me through so much shit in this last year. I can never say thank you enough.
You don't have to, because you did the same for me too. So it's just nice to have a friend, that you can do for, and that they do for you as well too. You held me, kept me on the straight and narrow and keeping me, from going crazy a couple times too. So don't feel bad. But
happy to be here for you, man. It's the least I can do.
Oh, and we'll do this again. And I don't want share, subscribe. I would actually kind of think it would be funnier if we don't get any subscriptions and we get all thumbs down, because I just think that would be hilarious. But this is just going to be me and Chris, and in the future, hopefully have more people that will come on, and we're just gonna bullshit about toys and what makes us happy. No pressure. We don't have sponsorships. I'm not worried about getting to 1,000 subscribers, because this will not be my job.
Right. I'm not trying to make any money.
No, because I know it just go back into toys, but it's just a nice change of pace that we can get back and just talk to one another. So
hell yeah,
brother, I will talk to you soon. Everybody out there who watches this, we appreciate it, and be on the lookout for more stuff to come. Hold on. Pew!
Did you just boot me?